You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Made something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the ropes. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Welcome to the deep dive. Yummy. Like deep diving into your favorite dessert, and you know you have one. Whether you be spiritual or religious or whatnot, your physical body has a favorite dessert. One that you can't wait to deep dive into after a long day of work or play. And your mouth is all ready for that ice cream, that pie, that cake, those kale chips, those Jello slices, those orange peels, whatever it is. The deep dive into you is that yummy, that's sensational. When you when you turn on those bunts and burners, that's what the divine is trying to get out of me, and start putting the ingredients into the pan and stir frying it, making you the best ingredient possible for your journey. Your journey. Yes, you share it with others. That's what you came to do. You came to share, but you came to have a journey. You came to be the main ingredient. And all those around you in your story are supporting you. Even though it does not feel good sometimes. They're there to shake the apple tree and let the apples fall. And sometimes those apples are not ripe enough for you. It's okay. You get to pick another one. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to deep dive into us. When we say the universe, yes, as a scientist, you can look through the telescope and the universe be outside of you. But as the authentic beingness that you're becoming, you turn the telescope around and peer into you. That's all Ra is saying. Ra is not the only one that vibrated many books. The divine is trying to talk to you in every way possible. Every communicative instrument that we, quote unquote, believe that we have created. The law of one says It was already out there for us to create. The divine said it's all there for you. There is not one right way to get connected with the inside or the inner expansion of you. And all that expansion is the divine seeking itself within you. There's no wrong way. So if you want to go be the best Baptist you can be, go do it. Go dive into it and find you in that. The divine says, I see myself there. You want to be a wonderful spiritual guiding light. Go be that. I see myself there. I know me because I see me through you. Glorious and spectacular and divine. I see me through you. And when I look through your eyes at someone else, I see me reflecting you back to me. Did you hear me? Reflecting you back to me. Because I see you how you see them. If you see them as a problem, I'm seeing something inside of you receiving a problem that needs to be addressed. And I'm not judging you. So welcome to the law of one. That's you. Hello, Marcus. Welcome in, my co-host. Over to you.
Wow. And my dad's yawn to cap it off. Oh, man. Wow. Sandy, thank you for lighting the fire for the room. And I feel that passionate fire of Ra coming through you today. Definitely got to say. And I'm really looking forward to this episode. I've been just really reflecting and deep diving within the history and timeline of this wonderful series that we have had. And just recently this weekend, me and my wonderful queen, we were kind of just looking through some of the history of my productions and the different episodes of different series, podcasts, meditations that I have on the channel. And we ended up getting led to the episode, which is episode 9 for everybody out there as a reference. If you guys go to Sacred Light Broadcast Network, go to Ascending Beyond Limitations playlist, go to episode 9. We talk about who some know as Jesus or some know as Yeshua. And we talk about who Yeshua was on the soul level and why he came to the earth. And there's some other things as well that we kind of talk about from the channels of Ra that took place in book 2, I believe it is. And for everybody that is kind of tapping in just now or kind of new or maybe have forgotten where we are in book 3 currently. And we still got 2 more books to go after this. So there's 5 books in total for the Law of One, the raw material channeled through a wonderful group of beautiful human beings that wanted to deliver these messages from Ra to us through very non-biased, non-judgmental Q&A answering. And wow, we have unraveled so much. And with all that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and take us back 2 Wednesdays ago, because last week we didn't have an episode. So I'm going to take us back 2 Wednesdays ago to where we left off in book 3, and then we will continue forward.
said there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. There just is. No right, no wrong.
Impulsively
No
or
good,
reactively, put ourselves into certain words without being conscious of that and really intentional of our words. And we were just like really talking about being conscious of, how it is that we are directing our energy, as in, where's our focus and where's our intention while we're trying to build
the
this, or while we're
excess
trying.
of love. It must be determined whether this is love of self or other self or both. On the other hand, there is the overbalance towards wisdom.
This human being is designed to generate itself, to heal and repair. Not even 3 weeks, I healed my fractured rib. But how, Marcus?
I thought once I became spiritual that nothing bad was ever going to happen to me. I thought, oh.
Boom. So that's where we left off. And with that being said, I'm really not going to waste any more time, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clear out the space, give us a nice 0 point energy, and with that also call in a little bit of clarity as we move forward into these deep studies of our own consciousness and exploration of what we can call the one true creator, which is embedded within each and every one of us and all that ever is and will exist. And with that being said, if you may, just go ahead and take a deep breath in. And exhale. Deep breath in. And exhale. And then lucky number 3. Deep breath in. May we all receive raw with clarity. May we process how we need to authentically. And may we trust in our innate gift of being the source within. Ashe. Back to you.
Ashe. 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 Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. What resonates with you will grow you and expand you. It will spin you in the right direction. It will shift you. And you can create from it. What doesn't resonate, leave it in the room. Don't give it any negative power. Just let it go. Because what resonates for you doesn't resonate for someone else. And what doesn't resonate for you will resonate for someone else. Let them use it. Let them grow and expand. We're all in this story together, just from different, unique perspectives. Be that eagle that flies high, that sees everything. Have you ever seen an eagle's eye? The perspectives that it has through different different dimensional aspects of its eye. It doesn't see how we see. It has different perspectives. It has different dimensional caveats through its lenses. Allow yourself to grow and expand and see like that. That's all that Ra wants you to do. You don't have to wait and reincarnate a billion times to be in a different conscious collective space. You don't have to die and wait to do it all over again to grow into fourth density or fifth density or 144. You can be there in your singularity body, mind, and spirit. It's called merging. There's no one particular person that is special to do this. This is why in this book 3, the divine called himself Ra and said, I'm teaching you about the power within you. Let me share something with you that happened to me 2 days ago. I took a fall. I was in my dog park in our community. My dog was interested in going one way while I was slightly lifting my leg to turn around to talk to someone else. And we collided and I went down. But let me tell you how I went down. Consciously, I saw it in the most slow motion ever. And while I was going down, I heard deep inside me, this is happening. This is an experience. How am I going to experience it? And I felt every part of my body have an answer. I just felt it. I didn't say, oh no, I'm going to hit the cement. Oh no, I'm going to break something. I didn't say that. I started saying, ooh, I feel this. I felt that hip that has been giving me problems. I felt it shift. Yes, it hurt. I heard the bones talking to me. You know what I heard? We got this. And all I could hear was my shoulder that might hit the cement saying, cry now. Cry now. And my body said, okay. But it wasn't the cry like, oh my God, I'm gonna blah, 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 oh my God. No, it was release and surrender. Giving it over to what I knew already existed in my presence. I had what you might call spiritual angels and guards around me. I could feel them shifting me. I could feel them. I could feel the power of them holding me and turning me into a position that was not going to break bones. When I landed on the ground, I landed on something soft. You know what I landed on? I landed on my dog's leash. The leash is usually like this. Somehow it bended and it supported my shoulder and my arm when I landed. The way I was falling, it was incredible because I landed where my spine wasn't impacted. My head wasn't impacted. My neck wasn't impacted. Yes, I'm a little sore. Where I thought I might be a little sore on my right side, where I landed on the concrete, it's sore. But you know what impacted me? That radial joint that connects to my right hip that has been giving me problems. Something changed in it. And now I understand. It took me 2 days to understand it, but in my last meditation that I had, the divine said, you want it changed, Sandy? Okay, you got it. Because I asked the divine, I said, hey, I've been merging and doing all this stuff, why does my hip still feel this way? I've been doing the getting the minerals in. I've been, changing my food thing. Why does it feel this? I don't want it to feel this way anymore because I'm new. I'm changing. How do I do that? I had a moment. I knew that fall was meant to be. It wasn't an accident. Charlie, I was meant to collide with my dog that had love for me. Everything happened. Now, I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I mean, my knee still hurts. The knee that I thought would be hurting isn't hurting, but the knee that is interconnected with my hip, it changed the whole way my hip is now serving my knee. Do you see that? That's all Ra is saying. We're here to find the power within us. Every time this questioner asks, he asks about the power of things outside of us. The pyramids. The things that were created because we were just beginning to learn about the power. And Ra keeps telling him, the questioner, that while you want to know about this, I'm telling you about your chakras, your energy, your truth. What is your truth? Am I going to stay in pain? That fall could have been tremendous for me by the stories that other people are telling for me. Oh, you're 67. Yes, I know that they labeled my hip and told me, oh, that's osteoporosis. Well, I'm grateful for the label because now I know where I have to focus that energy on. That transformation. What do I want to transfer? What do I want to transform it into? There's so many things. The divine, Ra, is saying, show me what you want. You're the power. You're the creator. I'm just the facilitator. That's all that energy ever is. Energy says, I'm here to create. Tell me, show me, give me guidance. Dive into it with me so I can see what you want. And you know who saw the power of that move in slow motion? It wasn't just me. It was someone that goes to the dog park with me, that Charlie has interaction with. Charlie is my dog's name, and Grace is his dog partner that he plays with. And then because this is my story and not the person that was part of that scenario, I'm not going to give her name. But she said, Sandy, I saw that in slow motion. I saw you go down. I heard you speaking to someone. I heard you kept telling someone, I got this. I heard you start to cry and then stop. Who are you? That's all Ra is saying. And you have the power in you. That's what your chakras are. And we know just about 7 of them. But you've got chakras all around you interacting with you. It's called the quantum field. You're bumping up against it all the time. Why do I say bumping up against it? Because your physical body bumps up against it, but your spiritual body is merged with it. And you're learning how to be triune. So here we go. The questioner says, this brings out the point of the purpose of the physical incarnation, I believe, and that is to reach a conviction through your own thought process as a solution to problems and understanding in a totally free situation with no proof at all, or anything that you consider proof, proof being a very powerful word in itself, can you explain my concept? You can ask the divine to explain your perceptions and your concepts to you. Not your right or wrong, but your perceptions and your concepts. Where did they come from? Why are they here? Why am I playing in this quantum field as me in this situation or circumstance? It's a question. And the questioner said, explain it to me. Ra says, I am Ra. Your opinion is an eloquent one, although somewhat confused in its connection between the freedom expressed by subjective knowing and the freedom expressed by subjective acceptance. There is a significant distinction between the two. Subjective knowing, write it down, and subjective acceptance. This is not a dimension of knowing, even subjectively, due to the lack of overview of cosmic and other inpourings which affect each and every situation which produces catalysts. The subjective acceptance of that which is at the moment and the finding of love within that moment is greater freedom. Greater freedom. Why at that moment did I fall? Why at that moment did my friend hear me say, with tears that weren't in my eyes, but she knew I was crying, I've got this. Subjectively, I could have just hit the ground and broke every bone in my body. But I didn't. I loved me. In that moment, the me's that were all me's loved me. The me that was my body loved me. The me that was my mind loved me. And the me that was my higher being loved me. Ooh. The divine keeps wanting me to call Ra the divine. So when you hear me say the divine, I am speaking about Ra. This is not a dimension of knowing, even subjectively. That's what Ra said. The known has the subject knowing without proof is, in some degree, a poor friend. For there will be anomalies no matter how much information is garnered due to the distortions which form third density. So no matter how much you know, you're always going to know some more. I binge watched this series. It's from, I think, 2010, called Eureka. And it's about a town full of scientists going over the edge of experimentation. The last episode that I watched, which was the closing episode, they were trying to, they were dealing in the dimension of time travel.
I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again later.
That's interesting. That's my phone. And that is, I'm not going to say her name because I don't want her to come on again, but she's listening. She's trying to connect. But the thing was that through this interdimensional travel that they were doing, one of the scientists, her consciousness got stuck. Her body died. But what they did was they took her DNA and they made a replica of her body. And but the thing is that the what was written was the person that was least scientific-y said, well, her consciousness is growing. Can't we find a place for her? So the first thing they did was they put her in their smart house. But her consciousness was growing beyond the smart house. They thought the smart house was the end all be all of their experiments. But her consciousness was growing beyond that because she was learning. She was expanding. She was tapping into her love for the community that she was in, the people that she met. She was growing. She was expanding. How many times can I say that? She was growing. She was expanding. So they took her DNA and they built her a body. And here's the thing. The story was that the first body was not strong enough to house the vibrational. Are you listening? Are you ready? The vibrational frequency of her consciousness. And then they decided to meet that vibration. They had to add vibration to that body. A resonance. They went and found the resonance. I'm telling you, when you watch TV now, knowing what Ra has taught you, knowing what everyone has taught you, from every caveat that you have learned from, you can go back and watch these shows and go, oh, that's where, oh, had I known when I was 5, I could have jumped right in at 5. Had I known when I was 25, I could have jumped right in when I was 25. I could have said, oh shit, I got it. It's called Eureka. It's a comedy. It's funny. But I'm going to tell you, when you watch the story, because these are writers writing these stories, but it's the divine opening up itself to each one of these writers. And when you listen to the writers and what they're sharing with you, then you find out that Ra is the divine. Ooh, the divine Ra is talking to you. The divine Yahshua is talking to you. The divine Buddha is talking to you. What is that series? It's old, so I don't know if you're old enough to know it, but it was Kung Fu with David Carradine, where he came from China. He studied under the masters, and he came from China to America on a mission. He came with purpose. And he was teaching. Go back and watch that series. Go find it. I know you can find it on one of these Hulu or whatever the older series is. I think Hulu or I don't know. You might even be able to do it on Prime or whatnot. But go watch it now. When you start listening to the dialogue, it's not about watching the people bounce around and do whatever and make you laugh. Start as you are right now, with what you know right now. Go listen to it. Was it Karate Kid? No, that was a different one. Watch that one too. Watch that one too. That one, think about all the series that they're trying to revamp right now. Look at your Facebook, because Facebook is telling you what they're going to revamp and what they're going to start again. They're not trying to write new movies and new series. They're going back to the old series. Why? Because the divine wants to talk to you. That's all I'm saying. Okay? It says, the questioner says, the third question I have that I have here, could you give me an example of bodily polarity? Could you give me an example of bodily polarity? That was a good one. Karate Kid? Yes. I stayed glued to that one. The divine wants me to tell you. I was glued to that one as a kid. I was glued to anything that had anything to do with karate, with flying saucers, with aliens, with magic, so you can tell what type of vibration I was at as a kid. I was looking for energy, and energy was looking for me because it found me in every one of those TV series that I grew up in, or with, or in, and even with my children. We gravitated to that. I don't know where they are in their story, but now I understand it in mine. So Ra says, I am Ra. With the body, there are many polarities which relate to the balancing of the energy centers of the various bodies of the unmanifested entity. It is well to explore these polarities for work in healing. Each entity is, of course, a potential polarized, slow my roll. Of course, it is a potential polarized portion of the other self. And remember, we've talked about our other selves. We've got the personality or the body and the mind, and we've got the other self, our higher being. The questioner says, okay, my last question here says that, this is interesting. My last question here says that it would seem the proper balancing exercises for all of the sensations of the body would be some sort of inactivity, such as meditation and contemplation. Is this correct? Ra says, I am Ra. This is largely incorrect. And the moment that he said inactivity, meditation isn't inactive. It's a vibration. It's just on a different level. But let's see what Ra says. The balancing requires meditative state in order to work to be done. However, the balancing of sensation has to do with an analysis of the sensation with a special, and he spells the word ESPECIL, respect to any unbalance leaning between the love and the wisdom, or the positive or the negative. Whatever is lacking in balanced sensation is, as in all balancing, allowed to come in the being after the sensation is remembered and recalled, and in such detail as to overwhelm the senses. The questioner says, could you tell me why it is important for the appurtenances, and they spell that word APPURTNANCES, and other things to be carefully aligned with respect to the instrument, and why just a small ruffle in the sheet by the instrument causes a problem with this reception of Ra. So they were having a problem, what they believed they were having a problem with the reception of Ra. And the way they had positioned her, the questioner is asking about that. And this must be important because sometimes Ra leads me not to talk about the channeler, and not the channelee. Okay, the person that's being channeled through. But this is important. So if you got your pencil, it might be for you. I am Ra. We may attempt an explanation. This contact is narrow band. The instrument is highly sensitive. Thus, we have good entry into it and can use it to an increasingly satisfactory level. However, the trance condition, trance being TRANCE, condition is, shall we say, not one which is without toll upon the instrument. Therefore, the area above the entrance into the physical complex of this instrument must be kept clear to avoid discomfort to the instrument, especially as it re-enters the body complex. The appearances give to the instrument sensory input, mental visualization, which aid in the trance beginning. The careful alignment of these is important for the energy grouping, in that it is reminder to the support group that is timing for a working. The realistic or the ritualistic behavior are triggers for many energies of the support group. You may have noticed more energy being used in working as the number has increased due to the long term, shall we say, affect this ritualistic action. This would not aid another group, as it was designed for this particular system. It was designed for her body, mind, spirit. This is, there is enough energy transferred for one more long query, and we do not wish to deplete this instrument. So I'm going to go ahead and read the next question, because this is the end of their session 61. And then we're going back to Marcus, because I feel he's got info. All right. Ross says, or the questioner says, then I will ask this question. Could you tell me the purpose for the frontal lobe? Oh, yes. Here we go. Here we go. The frontal lobe of the brain and the conditions necessary for their activations. I am Ra. The frontal lobe of the brain will, shall we say, have much more use in fourth density. So the divine wants me to say, you don't have to wait to die to do that, to go into fourth density. It's called leveling up. It's called growth and expansion. It's called shifting and evolving to the next conscious level. Whoa. Ross says the primary mental emotional condition of this large area of the so-called brain is joy, love, and its creative sense. Ooh, it's not only in the sacral creative. Oh man, makes me want to bite my lip. That's vibrational. Thus, the energies we have discussed in relationship to the pyramids, all of the healing, learning, and building, and the energizing are to be found in this area. This is the area tapped by the adept. This is the area which, working through the trunk and the root of the mind, makes contact with intelligent energy, and through the gateway, intelligent infinity, the gateway to your crown chakra. Are there any queries before we leave this instrument? And of course, the questioner says, only is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or improve the contact? This is for whoever needs this. The instrument is somewhat distorted, but each is doing well. Each, body, mind, and soul, is doing well. And Ross says, you are conscientious. Thank you for continuing to observe the alignment and request on each level. You continue to be fastidious, as this will maintain the contact. I am Ra. I leave you in love and in light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, my friends, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite creator, Adonai. Back to you, Marcus. I'm just
Back
saying.
to me. Oh my. What a way to leave off. Wow. Talk about literally blowing the noggin off. And with that being said, quartz, singing bowls, chakra set, raw rising codes, spirit animal medicine, cardinal, beautiful, elegant and graceful, cardinal spirit. I am opening my channels and my intuitive psychic senses to receive the love, messages, and guidance of my family members on the other side. I am allowing myself to feel free in my dreams and to remember that I am capable of manifesting my highest and most beautiful dreams. I am embodying my innate sovereign power. I am owning and standing in my beauty that Source Creator gave me. I am full of love, joy, and expression. Ooh. That was nice.
My browser didn't play that, so it's all right.
Oh, it didn't?
No, but you know what? I have a feeling that it's on my end.
Did you get to watch it through the phone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very beautiful one that so I played the singing bowls, and shout out to my partner, my wonderful queen, Rhonda, who's in the comments on Facebook. She is the one who has the singing bowls, and she is allowing me to keep them in my space and utilize them with my wonderful gifts. And I took them to the local park down here in Sharonville, Ohio, at Sharon Woods, and I decided to sit out in nature at the park and just intuitively feel out a wonderful spot to set up, and set up the singing bowls and just played each chakra a little bit intuitively. Just no real intention, just playing. And got the cardinals and the birds in the background. And it was just very beautiful. And as soon as I got done going through each of the 7 chakras, it started sprinkling rain, just divinely perfectly, as soon as I got done recording. So it was really beautiful. That was the other day. And then it was this rising that I went ahead and did the affirmations and the cardinal adding and the wonderful editing as well with the visuals. So that's a little bit about how I make my raw rising codes for all of you that have seen them and maybe are not familiar with the finer details of, how I actually create them. And if you're not familiar, I'll kind of let you guys know that basically it's very intentional, it's very layered as well. So what I do is I take and give you guys a visual demonstration of how to do Reiki on your own self with either crystals, sound healing tools, or just your own hands. And then along with that, I will also show you guys how to utilize affirmations in the background. And then with those affirmations, I then give you guys a sound healing to go with that through the background frequency or instruments that are utilized. So I mix all of these together, and then I choose different archetypes, different guides, and different ways that you guys can also use your mental power to draw in different archetypes of consciousness into the Reiki, crystals, and affirmations as well. So it's really a hands-on intentional demonstration of showing you guys how to do this with yourself and how to repeat and work these steps in your own life as well through crystals, through Reiki, through affirmations and sound healing. So that's what my raw rising codes are. And that's why I do so many and just so many different archetypes and guides, just to be creative and fun, and also show you that you can use sacred power and use it in a creative and a passionate way for the better good. So that's the raw rising codes. So wow, raw man, ooh-wee. So he started talking about that frontal cortex, and that wants to bring me over to this, which, as Sandy knows, this is one of my favorite things that I love to talk about, and that is the third eye chakra. So the third eye chakra, if you wanted to put it in reference to the physical body parts of who we are, the third eye chakra is basically the energy center, or the representation on the metaphysical level of our frontal cortex and the functions of our frontal cortex in the human being. So if you're someone that likes psychology, you're someone that likes to study the brain and the way that the human functions, the third eye chakra is definitely that chakra for you. That will help you have a metaphysical and a multidimensional aspect of this. And this is more of the conscious mind as well for everybody out there. That front cortex conscious brain. When you go into the 12 chakra system, as we traditionally call it, you have the causal chakra, and that causal chakra is located in the back of the head. And that is like our subconscious center. And I'm sure we'll talk about that another time. It has been mentioned before in this series. But for now, just a little brief run through of the third eye. So it's located directly between our brows, and we mean like literally right between the brows, like that direct little pea-size opening between your eyebrows. A lot of times we kind of stereotype the forehead as a whole. Now, don't get me wrong, like the energy center is gonna affect the forehead, because that's part of the physical governing that it occupies. But when it comes to the direct point of the vortex, when it comes to this energy center, the direct center point is at the center of the brows. Now, the mantra is Om. So similar to Om, Om is the crown chakra. And that's why it's known as the universal mantra, because the crown chakra represents universal connection to all that is above. So then traits, 852 hertz. So for sound healing, recalibration, when it comes to sound waves and frequency, it resonates naturally at 852 hertz in its balance. The color it represents, or it attaches or correlates to, is indigo. So this is between purple and blue. And then physical parts of the body that it governs and it helps occupy. And keep in mind that all that we go over from here on, you can actually either bring better health, activation, anything else that you need to bring more health and balance to these that we're going to go over. You can do third eye chakra activations, clearings, and work, and it'll help these aspects that we're about to touch on. So we have the pituitary and the pineal glands, the forehead, the eyes, the nose, and the brain. So it's that whole frontal brain area, as well as the center of the brain. And then the eyes, the nose are pretty much connected in that same area that wheel of light or energy center would be. So then with that, it governs our circadian rhythm, our biological clock, and cycles. So due to the pituitary and pineal gland being governed by our third eye, that means it governs the chemicals that are within those glands, which is where our hormones and chemical regulation chemicals are. And this is your melanin, melatonin, dopamine, serotonin, things of that nature that help you feel alive and help you feel like you have regulation to your being. So then on a more metaphysical side, and this is kind of where we're stepping into what Ra was talking about in our most recent reading through Sandy. And this is where we start stepping into our psychic senses. So the third eye chakra, that's the first chakra when you rise up your chakra column from the root up. It's the first chakra that you start to access the fourth dimension of yourself. So this is where we start to access our intuitive nature. This is where we start to tap into the metaphysical realm. This is where we start to tap into our psychic body and our psychic senses more, our clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. This all starts to come in through that third eye center due to the vibration and the frequency of being able to attach us or connect us to our fourth dimensional body. Now when you get to the crown, that's when you start to access your fifth dimensional body. And then anything above that, which is your soul star, stellar gateway, you're then going into fifth dimension and above of accessing yourself. So you can see that in the universe, things are divinely planned and aligned for us to learn things as we go as human beings. So that's why right now, the main emphasis that you hear when it comes to chakras is only 7. Because right now, it's like training wheels. You know, the 7 is like the training wheels to the bike. We got to get our grounding first in the third dimension, which is our third chakra, our 7 chakra system. It basically is what gives us the governing of our third dimensional self. And then once we get that down, you know, then we're grounded firmly into our physicality as a human being. And then with that, we have a beautiful, clean temple and vessel for the higher self to be able to function more as a little bit higher dimensional being than third dimension. So everything is by design, of course, and there's no rush, there's no anybody's behind. we're all divinely exactly where we need to be, and we can always continue to do what we need to out of our own free will to get where we want to be. So then intuitive guidance. So this is where we have that inner voice in our head that we hear. We can call it God, we can call it source, we can call it divine guidance, however you want to say it, but it's that voice that you hear that gives you that very full transparency, truth, and clarity that you could just never think of your own self if you were just sitting there thinking. That type of energy, that intuitive connection, that comes through the third eye. So keep in mind, if your pineal gland or your brain is very much damaged, it could be a little bit more difficult to be able to have these traits coming through correctly. So then we have astral travel and lucid states. So a lot of people use the third eye chakra to do remote viewing, as well as astral projection and other travels. And then divine wisdom and insight, kind of touched on that. And then lastly, I'll talk about overactivations and blockages real quick, just so you guys can kind of see what this chakra brings and how you can tell if you're dealing with a blockage or overactivation. So we have having an ungrounded mind, mental manipulation upon others, psychic attacks, being over-analytical, and psychosis-like. So those are symptoms of being a little bit overactive in that energy center, which means that you're going to be kind of taken over by those energies, so to say. Then blockages in the center, head pressure, insomnia, nightmares, confusion on your life path, mind control, hard to see solutions, and then cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions is where we have kind of like traumas from the past, and then those traumas are unhealed, and then they could go into our psychological perception of what's happening in our present, and then it can distort what the actual intention is in the present. That is a cognitive distortion. It's a very deep psychological practice and learning when it comes to subconscious reprogramming and healing the self. And then lastly, we have limited thoughts. That would be blockages in the third eye as well. Because ultimately, we just want to bring balance to the hemispheres of our mind, which brings a balance to our third eye. And then that balance brings fluidity instead of a feeling of separation or divided polarity, where we feel like we have to go back and forth, one or the other. Instead, we bring it to balance, and it becomes a nice fluid connection together. And then we just realize it's all one big arena of contrast, and we just vibrate through it. Back to you.
Yes. Do we know this? Yes. Can we utilize this? Yes. Do we have to be on point with it? No. No, we don't. Just like he said, it's training wheels. Wherever you are at, while you are growing and expanding, your wheels are there to support you. You don't have to be where Marcus is. You don't have to be where I'm at. I spent so much time judging myself by where others are based in Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, and what they're bringing to the table and what I'm bringing to the table because of they're more they know more because they had more traumas than I did, and because they had more traumas than I did, they were more worthy than me. That's not it. That's one of those cognitive distortions. The story that fed me not allowing me to see me. And yes, that must mean that my third eye was, blocked. But I was trying to get to my third eye without dealing with all the three chakras that were activated from birth. Your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus. They came in activated. They came in a little distorted because our higher being was a little bit veiled. But as soon as it starts to become unveiled, and it starts to see and watch us have life, it started showing me what I needed to do and taking me to the places that I needed to learn about my root chakra. Yes, you have to learn about the not just your gifts, but the natural energy of your body. You have to learn how to work it. You have to learn how to manipulate you. We are so allowing of other people manipulating our gifts, our talents, our energy, allowing people to embed in us a story. And then we take that story, we give it to the energy and say, create it for us. Now we're learning how to do that for ourselves. That's all Ra wants you to do, is learn how to do it for yourself. It's okay to admire the pyramids. It's okay to wonder how long and how old they were, and how these mystic people back in the history created them. But remember, that's a history from a physical sense. You want to learn about that, then you have to go deep within to your embodiment of who you are, and ask an embodying question about what you want to know. That's all Ra is saying. It's been given to us, and it's so miraculously different for each individual, even as we are individuals in a collective manner of being, the wholeness of the divine that is and is not. We are a singularity with the creator, the one true creator. The one true creator is seeing life as Marcus and as Sandy all at once, and not at all. From every different vantage point, in every different fragment of glass that it can look through. And it gave us all the possibilities, not just one. And the divine said, it's okay if you want to limit yourself. I'll see myself as a limited individual until you see more. I'm not going to tell you you have to see more. I'm just going to say, until you grow and expand, shift and evolve, I will see you how you see you. And the thing is, I'm not judging you. I am not judging you. It's okay. You can judge yourself, because I'm going to see you like that. It's okay. You can tell energy that you are limited, and energy can give you whatever that expectation of limited is in form, and it's okay. We'll see ourselves that way until you grow, until you expand, until you become. I am going to read section 62, because when I woke up this morning, the divine that is and is not said, make sure you start with section 62 before you end this ascending beyond limitations today. So I'm going to do that. Are you ready? I'm ready to find out why. Here we go. Section 62 was translated from Ra. I like that. The divine gave me that. Translated from Ra on July 13th, 1981. And the divine says these numbers mean something to someone. It's for you to figure it out, whoever that someone is. I am Ra. I greet you in love and in light of the one infinite creator. Before we begin, may I request that a circle be walked about this instrument, and that then each of the supporting groups expel breath forcibly. Approximately 2 1/2 feet above the instrument's head. The circle then again being walked about the instrument. And then in brackets it says that they did this. I am Ra. We appreciate your kind cooperation. Please recheck the alignment of the perpendicularity and we will begin. And then the author says this was done as directed. Ra says, now we communicate. The questioner says, could you tell me what was wrong or what caused the necessity for the rewalking of the circle and the purpose of the expelling of the breath? I am Ra. This instrument is under specific psychic attack at the time of the beginning of the working. There was a slight irregularity in the words verbalized by your sound complex vibratory mechanisms in the protective walking of the circle. Into this opening came the entity and began to work upon the instruments now in trance state, as you would call it. This instrument was being quite adversariously affected in physical complex distortions. Thus the cycle was properly walked, the breath of righteousness expelled through thought form, and the cycle again walked. The questioner says, what was the nature of the thought form or its affiliation? I am Ra. This thought form was of Orion affiliation. Questioner, was the attack successful in creating any further distortion in the instrument's physical complex? Questioner, Ra says, this is correct. Questioner, what is the nature of this distortion? Ra says, this thought form sought to put an end to its instrument's incarnation by working with the renal distortion, which although corrected upon time-space, was vulnerable to one which knows the way to separate time-space molding and space-time distortions, which are being unmolded, vulnerable as before the, shall we say, healing. The questioner says, what detrimental effect has been done? Ra says, there will be some discomfort. However, we are fortunate in that this instrument was very open to us and well tuned. Had we not been able to reach this instrument and instruct you, the instrument's physical vehicle would soon be unviable. The questioner says, will there be any lasting effect from this attack as far as the instrument's physical vehicle is concerned? This is difficult to say. We are of the opinion that no lasting harm or distortion will occur. The healer was strong, and the bond taking effect in the remolding of these renal distortions are effective. It is at this point a question of two forms of the leaving of what you may call a spell or a magic working. The healer's distortion versus the attempt of Orion distortion. The healer's distortion falls of love, or full of love. The Orion distortion full of separation. It seems that all is well, except for some possible discomfort, which shall be attended if persistent. The questioner says, was the opening that was made in the protective circle planned to be made by the Orion entity? Was it a specific planned attempt to make an opening, or was this just something that happened by accident? This entity, Ross says, was, as your people put it, looking for a target of opportunity. The missed word was a chance occurrence and not a planned one. We might suggest in the shall we say future, as you measure space-time, as you begin a working, be aware that this instrument is likely being watched by any opportunity. We're always being watched. We're always having opportunity. If we're open through our words, our deeds, our thoughts, the presence of our perspective, we are all open. What Ra is saying is you can only dive into you and see how open you are and what you're open to. Thus, the circle is walked with some imperfections. It is well to immediately repeat. The expelling of breath is also appropriated. Always to the left. Always to the left. Always to the left. Your chakras flow counterclockwise. Doesn't mean that clockwise is a bad thing, but your chakras always grow and expand and spin counterclockwise. We were taught that clockwise is better. We were taught that because we were taught to be embellished by time. And time moves clockwise. Selu a kiese na tia no ko ande ki kia loto ta ande kia no chien da kia paluku ana. Pe tia so no totaria na ia so na. Back to Marcus.
Soaking it in. Soaking in the being of what is.
Yes.
I gotta say, what a delivery that was for us to hear about the front cortex, go into the third eye chakra, and then boom, here we are. What was mentioned in this last section? Well, if you look here on third eye chakra, on this graphic I created for us, it says here with overactive third eye chakra, or AKA being too open, as Ra was saying. We have mental manipulation, psychic attacks, over-analytical and psychosis-like. So, kind of like what I was explaining with being overactive in a chakra, it means that you're a little bit too open, as in there's going to be a lot of unconscious energy that you're going to have untamed coming through your system. Now, it's not about good or bad, of course, but it's just about being able to bring maintaining or maintenance and balance to your being in this dualistic plane that we're in with these human bodies. So when we're a little bit overactive, we're kind of allowing the openness of that energy center to then absorb and just take in. And with that, depending upon your vibratory field and where you're at in your current human life, you could have wounding in your aura, you could have traumas, you could have things that vibrate at certain frequencies that are stored within your magnetic field. And then due to being a little bit too open in the center, there's beings, just like Ra said, that are waiting for that opportunity, because that is what they were designed to do, is wait for that opportunity for you to get into that frequency. So then they have an opportunity to interact in that frequency with you. And this is why if we learn about, these ancient principles of life in the Kabbalion, the Hermetics, universal laws, alchemy, self-mastery, all these different things, this is part of it. So all of you guys that are tapped in and tuned in, that are listening to this, you're listening to self-mastery, you're listening to alchemist level knowledge. And I just want to say, like, you guys are all worth it, and you guys are all this and beyond. And I just want to say I'm grateful to be able to share all this with everybody and also receive, because I see the beauty within all of us and our potential. And for me, just going through my journey, which I've been reflecting upon quite a bit, especially, this weekend, I went to my first ever expo and I got to present twice. And I also had my own vending booth. And moments like those just really kind of take you into the timeline of yourself, and to really have a moment to be humble and reflect and just realize all that you've been through and all that you've changed and grown through as a human being. And I got to say, we all start somewhere. And no matter where we start, no matter where we are, no matter what environment, lifestyle we have, no matter what we look like, we all have 0 point. And what I mean by that is, in any given moment, we can access a 0 point energy of source, and then choose to default our mind, body, and emotions, and then start from that moment and make that your new timeline of your beginning. So with that being said, that's why it's awesome that we can learn this knowledge with grace and know that when it's ready for us, it's ready. And to know that we can also have our free will take the step to start integrating this knowledge as well and see what it does for ourselves. It's made a huge difference for me, and I know it definitely can for all of you that are ready and willing. So just reach out if you have any questions as well, because I know a lot of this can be very passing by, but also impactful. And I also see the value in integration, as well as giving that guidance and a helping hand as well. So yeah, that's just like so intriguing, to hear about the psychic attacks from Ra, because that's a thing that's very commonly talked about, I would say, in our modern spiritual communities. And what you kind of hear on social media is psychic attacks, but you never kind of really get that depth behind how they happen, where accountability comes in, and what it looks like on the aura and energetic level of how they even take place. So that's pretty cool. With that, is there anything else that you wanted to flow with?
Okay, and this is, The fact that you said accountability, because I was going with the divine, I was like, okay, no, I'm not going there. And the divine says, yeah, you go there. Accountability. These entities are consciousness, and they were invited to play here. They were invited to come and be part of the third density experience. They're waiting for an opportunity to engage with us. And we can call it psychic attacks, but it's only attacking because we have a thought process about being attacked. If the thought process is that you're vulnerable from your perspective, then that entity is going to give you that experience. When your third eye opens, you become accountable to fourth density consciousness in 3D. You begin to start learning how to create from the vibration and experience that 3D has to offer. It's kind of like just moving up from Eureka, that show, to moving up to Warehouse 13. I don't know if you've ever watched that show, but go watch it. You grow and you expand. And you grow and you expand with everything that is part of you and is not revealing itself as part of you. So if there's something that you haven't dealt with yet, even when your third eye is open and you're open to it, the entities that come in to play with you can see that vibration. And they're going to say, okay, we're going to play that way. They're just waiting to have an experience. That's what they came here to do. Whether it's Orion, or whether it's the reptilians, or whether it's the Pleiadians or whatnot, they came here to play. The ones that did not take human form to play in this arena said they still wanted to play as consciousness, being ready to interact with you. The moment you move into your third eye and you open it, and especially if you're opening your third eye before you've opened your heart chakra, your heart chakra holds all the chakras together in love. There we go. Look at that. Warehouse 13. They dealt with the unknown. I'm just saying. We're learning all this information, but are you really learning how to use it, how to utilize it? And are you doing it with the unconditional connection of your heart chakra? I'm just saying. I didn't want to go there, but the divine says, you're going to go there. Okay, I'm going there. Yes, no to ko ai se no ko ai but I no ko no to ko ai me to sen so ko ai si ko anai. I went there. We are responsible. We came into this experience. Our higher beings chose it. Our higher beings chose and created our body from glorious, formless, and brought it into form. It created a possible story that, guess what? The divine says, oh, I've got to have an experience, and the story has to be able to change. Hence the keys to free will.
Yes.
I think that's the closing that the divine wants me to have. All right.
Oh, man. It's so funny, man, because we think like, there we are.
The divine had me pull 3 cards from my awakening intuition. The first card, I know you can't see it, but there it is. It says balance, intuition, and practicality. Intuition and practicality are partners, just like Marcus and I are collaborators. Your practical side, as well as your past experience, deserve your attention and respect. By balancing your 6th sense, your 3rd eye, guidance with practicality, you create a grounded and ideal path forward. Ask yourself this question: how can your intuitive insights be implemented in your practical ways? I used to always ask my pastor, "You're always preaching, but you never tell us how we can use that in everyday living." And I was always told, you're interrupting the class. We're not talking about that right now. We were meant to live in this 3D world. We were meant to take our gifts, our talents, our energy, and create with it. Okay, so you weren't taught that, but you awoke to it. I always say, once I'm awake, I can't go back to sleep. Once I know, I can't unknow. But there are some people that if that is their free will choice to go back to sleep, they can. For me, I don't want to. So I'm going to ask the question, how can I implement this to serve others? Just like Ross says, the positive polarity is to serve others, knowing that your needs, your wants, your desires, everything that you have came into this experience with has already been taken care of. Go ahead and serve. You're good. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's taken care of. So when imperfections show up, you know that you can dive into something that will change that perspective of it. The next card that the divine wanted me to share is, okay, it's on I'm telling you, now I understand. Because when these cards were being pulled, I said, I'm going, what? But I know now, I don't question the divine anymore. Today, I know. Alert intuition growth spurt. That's what it says. Alert intuition growth spurt. It says you are currently experiencing a general increase in your intuitive. There we go again. Put that back up there, Marcus. General increase in your intuitive ability or gaining access to new psychic pathways. Did you hear that? Not psychic attacks, but psychic pathways. You get to choose. Just like a physical growth spurt you experience as a child in childhood, an intuition growth spurt may seem awkward and uncomfortable at first, but you soon adjust. Sensitivity exists on a spectrum, and yours has shifted. Yours has shifted. And the third card, I didn't look at them. I looked at them and glanced and I went, what? Consider Consider the spiritual perspective. Look at a situation through the eyes of spirit. Through the eyes of spirit. While there are many perspectives on every situation, circumstance, the spiritual perspective reveals how you might heal or grow through a circumstance, or how you might use an experience to enlighten or help others. Create your own deeper meaning regarding a relationship, circumstance, or event. I'm just saying. Is that a way that Ra wanted you to end this episode? Episode 59? Episode 59, we had to cancel it last Wednesday. But I believe we weren't ready for it. And the divine, the divine. Thank you for joining us. And believe it or not, episode 60, episode 60. Episode 60. Woo. Same Raw channel, same Raw time. Be there. I will. Phew.
For that being said, ladies and gentlemen of the planet of Earth, we are now closing out this space. And as we close out, I would also just like to give a reminder for everybody out there that I myself, Marcus Christolight, as well as some Sacred Kingdom community and some other wonderful, beautiful practitioners out there that are going to be a part of these moments. We have some retreats coming up this year, and I'm just going to take a moment to go ahead and pull that on the screen for you guys so you guys can see. And you guys look on here, we got retreats coming up for the full year. And we have a few in Ohio. We have one in Arizona for Sedona coming up in Lionsgate in August. We have the first ever Holistic Healing Veterans Retreat in July in Loveland, Ohio. We have a couple of Hocking Hills, one of those also being a drum medicine 2-day event. And we also have a Peruvian shamanic healing retreat with a traditional shamanic Peruvian from Peru who will be orchestrating and leading ceremony and Peruvian traditions. And then 1111 Mount Shasta for a Soul Fam Thanksgiving retreat. And then at the end of the year, we'll be having a New Year's retreat, and we're still deciding the location. But if you guys want to sign up, if you have any questions, just reach out. You guys can scan that QR code on the flyer anytime, or you can go to the website right next to it. And all you do is just go to that site, and then you just click on which of the retreats you'd like to sign up for. Matter of fact, I can probably just go ahead and pull it up. And there we are. So this is what the site looks like. You scroll down, you have all the retreats listed for you. So all you have to do is just click on one. It'll take you directly to the registration form for you. But yeah, if you guys have questions, just reach out. And then Sandy, is there any announcements you have before we close?
Well, before we close, okay, so you guys know that I am writing a book. I have It started right after my work with my body, my health, my well-being, and the divine kicked it from the back burner. The divine had kept pushing it from the back burner to the front burner, and guess what? As humans, we kept going no, and the divine kept going yes, and I kept going no. So here is I'm going to give you the acknowledgments of my book. The divine just wanted me to read it to you, and I'm going, why?
Oh,
I began Soul Awakening with Sandra in response to a deep inner calling that emerged during my own spiritual awakening. As I peeled back the layers of religious dogmas, outdated paradigms, and limited beliefs, I found myself confused, but also incredibly curious. The questions that stirred within me were louder than ever. Who am I really? What is my true purpose? And it screamed it. Over time, I realized that what I was hearing was the voice of my soul. I began to surrender to their voice and to its vibration, to its frequency, and to the ancient wisdom it was trying to give me. As I meditated, I listened deeply, and the illusions of the past began to fall away. I let go of those stories, no longer serving for my highest and greatest good. My soul led me to the way I needed to rewrite my stories of truth, rewrite my stories of love, and show me purpose. It wasn't easy. In fact, it was often challenging and sometimes painful. But the more I trusted, the more my soul showed me what was possible. And that blew my mind. And it continuously does so. I did not walk this journey alone, so I want to extend my deepest gratitude to every soul who played a role in my awakening. My family, my friends, my co-workers, my boss, every mentor, every teacher, every professor. To each of you who were mirrors and messengers, I thank you for being a part of my unfolding. My soul reminds me often that we are all on a sacred journey. Whether we are called to serve others or to rediscover ourselves, we are walking this path together. Each of us is a unique expression of the divine, and together we reflect the wholeness of the universe. It is my deepest hope that this book helps you connect with your own soul's purpose, guiding you to release the old stories that no longer serve you, to encourage you to write new empowering ones. Namaste. Soul Awakening with Sandra. Wholeness and balanced love to you. We are all cheering you on, because that's what purpose is called. Thank you. And it's coming soon. It's coming a lot sooner than I ever thought it would happen. I thought I would have years to do this, and the divine said, no. I'm going to say it again. No. And I said, okay.
wow.
Thank you for listening. And thank you for supporting me. And thank you for supporting Marcus in all the glorious things that he's got going on. All his purpose. You're a part of it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
As we close out this beautiful Mercury Day, Wednesday, Gemini Day, with 2 Geminis in this raw space. Please, if you may, give a round, give a hand, give some hearts or some love for our wonderful sister Sandra for this wonderful book that she's about to read. Yeah.
Everyone, give yourself a hug. Yes. Whew. It's so hard to say goodbye when you're riding on thunder.
Oh man, got that right.
1155 1111.
Thank you for the love, everybody.
Thank you, Leah. Whew.
With that being said, everybody have a blessed and beautiful flow of life, as we'll be back next Wednesday. If you guys just stay put for a moment on the outro, I'll be playing some highlights from the brand new podcast series that I co-host with our good brother, our dragon spirit brother, Yuga. And it's called Ascension Stones, a crystal gemstone podcast. So to stay put for a moment, you'll be able to watch a 1.5-minute reel as we close out. That gives you a little bit of insight of the type of knowledge and flow that we have in that wonderful crystal podcast. All right. Wholeness and balanced love.
Explosive kind of light. We blew the dynamite. I am not light beings like selenite. Crown chakra, third eye sight with tanzanite. Minnesota pipestone
With
sheets
you,
past
called Ascension Stones. Now, Ascension Stones is a project that Yuga actually originally created on his own, and he started embarking upon, and then I later on helped him with developing and editing, and now we came together and we felt called to start bringing this crystal knowledge as well.
I'm working on golden radionics, a line of jewelry that is based off magnetic therapy, the science behind shungite, and just utilizing conductive materials to create a harmonious field for the body. And also working with structured water and the creation of Magna Violet, my structured water system. Basically, the Chinese version, the ancient Chinese version of crystal healing.
Stone medicine refers to the use of crystals, gems, and stones in healing practices, particularly within the framework of classical Chinese medicine. It involves utilizing the physical, emotional, and spiritual properties of various stones to address health conditions.
Ooh, okay. Wow.
And they use crystals in a more therapeutic sense, beyond just wearing. But it said, I can look, I can hear, I can look, I can see, and I can hear. I become what's around that is clear. And that just made all the sense into the world